Once upon a time, there was a little boy growing up on a farm in rural Georgia. And on this farm, he had his mom and his dad, his brothers and his sisters. There were horses, goats, pigs, cows, bulls, and a duck. And one day a terrible plague ravished the whole area, and the horses and cows started to die off, and finally the pigs started to die off. And after a couple of days, his mother and sisters and brothers started to die off. And one day he woke up and discovered that he was alone on the farm with only his father and the duck. And his father wasn't doing that well. His father called to him. He said, son, come here. I want you to take that duck into town. I want you to sell it for whatever you can get. The kid goes, oh, Dad, not the duck. Father says, son, you got to do it. You got to do it. We're completely penniless. So the kid put the duck under his arm. He headed off down the road. He hadn't gone very far when he came to a great big old mansion with pillars in the front. And there, leaning up against one of the pillars, was the loveliest little girl this boy had ever seen. She was blonde. She was blue-eyed. She was just gorgeous in a little knitted dress that barely covered her coochie. And she said to him, leaning up against the pillar, want to play with me? Now, this is a farm boy. He knows what end is up, and he says, does it cost anything? She goes, yeah, it costs a little something. And he goes, well, look, let me be honest with you. All I've got's this duck. She goes, I'll take the duck. So they head up into the bedroom. And this is the first time this boy's ever had an experience like this, so he goes at it with gusto. And 45 minutes later, the girl is panting in ecstasy, and she goes, oh, man, I've never had anything like that before. I never get to be with anyone my own age. Let's do it again. The kid goes, oh, I wish I could, but I really can't. I'm in big trouble. I was supposed to sell that duck. My dad's dying up the road, and now I'm... She goes, look, do it again, and I'll give you the duck back. He says, you will? She says, sure I will. And with the verve known only in the young, he starts at it again. And an hour and a half later, she is completely blissed out, and she goes, oh, one more time, for affection this time. Please, you got to give it to me. Suddenly, a loud bang on the door comes, and there's this old bald-headed guy sticks his head in, and he goes, kid, come on, this is a working girl. Go on, here's $1. Get the hell out of here. The kid puts the duck under his arm, he puts the $1 in his pocket, and he heads back on up the road toward his father's farm. His father sees him coming. He says, son, you gotta sell that duck. Take the duck and sell it for whatever you can get. The kid goes, Dad, relax. First I traded the duck for a fuck, then I traded a fuck for the duck. I was paid $1 for ducking a fuck, and I've still got the fucking duck.